session today. And in the meantime, if you can write in the chat, I've been talking so far with Jerry and Ben from Minnesota, where you're from, your name, what school you're from. Besides for working for the Jewish Agency and giving this session, I also am a coordinator for the Global School Twinning Network. So I work with a few different schools. In fact, one of the teachers who I work with is here. Hi, Galit. So it's really exciting to be here and to be teaching you all about digital tools. That's what our session is going to be about today. So like I said, if you could just feel free to write in the chat where you're from, I would love to get to know all of you a little bit more. Hi, Marcy, how are you?
Good, thank you. You?
Good, thanks. Where are you from?
Albany, New York.
Oh, okay.
I am not seeing a chat, however.
Yeah, I don't know where the chat is.
So on the side, it says event and it says session. So if you go into where it says session, that's where the chat for our session appears.
Oh, it's up on top, actually. Top. In blue.
In blue, yes, on the top. Okay, so I see Arcadia and Daphne are writing it in the chat. Also, Galit wrote in the chat. Excellent. It's really great to see everyone. We're all from so many different places. I personally live in Efrat. However, I am originally from Boston, which is why you hear a nice American accent and not an Israeli English accent, because I am American. All right. Hi, Tirza. Where are you from?
Hey. I am from Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, okay. So the only place I know in Ohio is Cincinnati. I have to admit, that's the only place I know. And Cleveland.
5 hours
and Cleveland.
south from here.
Arkady.
Yes.
Arkady, I can't believe I see you.
Yes, Arkady is also here.
Excellent.
I worked many years in school twinning. I worked for many years at school twinning. I was a shaliach and did a lot of school twinning. And when I heard that there is a Canis, when there's a conference, school twinning conference, I just couldn't pass. So here I am.
And since you love digital tools, then you decided to join my session. What fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to share with you a presentation that I created. I used a digital tool to make the presentation. And I will explain to you what that tool is as we go along. So I'm just going to share my screen right now, and we will dive into the world of digital connections. Okay, so like I said, my name is Leah Stein. I am a coordinator for the Global School Twinning Network. And today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about digital tools. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to look at a few different EdTech tools that we use in twinning school connections, as well as an introduction to different tools themselves. So I'm going to talk about in general, and then I'm going to get more specific. Basically, is what that's saying. Okay, so I'm going to stop for questions, and as I go along, if you do have any questions, feel free to write a message in the chat, or try to come up with some very innovative way of raising your hand in order to stop me. But I will stop for questions as I go along. Okay, so when we talk about digital learning, the most important thing that we want is for our students to have an experiential learning, meaning that we want them to be able to have fun. We want them to be able to learn in a way that is enjoyment and that brings fun into their learning. That's not just open up a textbook, let's copy from the board, let's write in our notebook. We want them to be part of our class. And also we have students who don't always like to participate, and as a result, the way that we use digital tools in our classroom or in our twinning program, in this case, really allows for them to be able to participate in a whole new manner. It also allows, digital tools also allow learning to be done in a synchronized and asynchronous situation, meaning I can use them when I'm actually teaching. For example, a presentation like you're looking at right now, I can use when I'm actually running a Zoom session, or when I'm actually in the classroom with my students, showing them something. However, it can also be used as a tool on its own, meaning I don't need everyone to be in the same session. I can also do it on my own time, which ties into our essentially, when we're talking about school twinning program, it ties into our time difference, because we do have a time difference. No matter where you're located in the world, there's a time difference between Israel and outside of Israel. And because we have to always take that into consideration, a lot of tools really help us with that. Instead of having to always be on Zoom, we can add different digital tools in order to make our lives a little bit easier in terms of the time difference. Another thing that is really important is the 21st century skills. Our students today are totally different than the way that we grew up. And as a result, they need things to motivate them. They're very visual. They learn very quickly. They adapt to things very easily. I'm sure you see this with your own students, so I don't need to tell you. But digital tools is a very key in the way that we can teach, in the way that we can get our students to work, in the way that we can bring our students to life a lot more. And of course, we also want to make sure that our digital learning is free or low cost. We don't want to have to spend a lot of money. We don't want to have to, or any money at all. We want to be able to use tools in a way that is easy, that doesn't mean that we have to break the bank accounts in order to use them. Now, all that being said, how do I choose tools? Because there are so many available in today's day and age. How do I choose ones that will work well for my partnership, for my twinning? So the first thing that I always check is how easy is it to use. If it takes me a long time to try to figure out how to use it, that means it's not for me. That means I don't want to use it in my twinning program, because I want my students to be able to use it. So if I can't use it, they're not going to be able to figure it out. And as a result, I kind of throw it to the side and I don't use it. Something that's very important, especially since a lot of us work in schools, and schools for the most part have some sort of safety of different sites that you can go onto, that you can't go onto, then I make sure that whatever tool I use can be used by most sites, as in it doesn't have a lot of barriers. It doesn't break any safety regulations. That's another thing that I look for. Another thing that I make sure that it includes is that I can use it within mutual learning. As in, I don't want, for example, I'm sure most of you have heard of Kahoot or other such games. The difference between what I'm presenting today and something like Kahoot is very one-sided. It's not double-sided. And what I want is I want my students to have that connection. I want my students to be able to, from both sides, to relate to each other, to have a way to connect that's not just one side against the screen, but both of them are working simultaneously on the same project. Another thing that I check is that it works on a variety of devices, be it on a regular computer, be it on a tablet, be it on a smartphone. All those things are very important when we have our students, because we want them to be able to connect in whatever way, shape, or form of devices that you have in your school, and so they don't have to do it only from home. And last and not least is that the free version is very efficient, because again, this goes back to our cost versus low cost, and I want for there ideally to be no cost, and so I want to make sure the free version works in a way that I can still do most of what I want to do using the free version. Now we're going to, before I jump into the world of the actual technical tools, are there any questions about something that I said until now? Because I can only see some of you, then I suggest using the chat. So this way, if I don't see you, then I know that if you have a question to answer it. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So I'm going to move ahead. The first tool, which is actually the presentation that you're looking at right now, is a tool called eMaze. eMaze basically is I'd like to call it a kind of glorified Google slideshow or PowerPoint presentation, whichever one you're familiar with. I'm sure you're familiar with both of those very well. But eMaze allows for things that we don't have in Google Slides. Like, for example, the background that you see that I'm using right now is not available on Google Slides. And Google Slides also doesn't really have templates. eMaze has a lot, and I mean a lot, of ready-made templates, some of which are 3D, some of which are not. But it has a lot of built-in templates so that this way you don't have to do a lot of work on your own. And that's another thing that I always like to try to check, is that I don't have to do a lot of work on my own. I want to be able to use things that already exist, and this way my time is saved. So another thing, so eMaze allows for both teachers and students to collaboratively share their work, whether it's on the same slideshow, whether it's two different slideshows. Ideally, we want to try to keep it the same slideshow so that this way both sides can see each other's work in the same place. And another thing that eMaze allows is it allows the viewer to view it in whatever language is comfortable for them. Now, the only downside is that it does use Google Translate. And when you use Google Translate, unfortunately, there can be some mishaps that go along with it, as I'm sure you're well aware. So, so even though it's a great thing that it does translate into your native tongue, so for example, since we're talking about twinning, so then the Israeli students can see it in Hebrew and the students outside of Israel can see it in their mother tongue, it does have some translation, I'd say, like funny moments, I guess how I would call it. So I'm just going to quickly go through some ideas that we've used eMaze for in school twinning. The first is a live museum. So if we take a look at the link, you'll be able to see the live museum. So I'm looking at my other screen, so if it looks like I'm looking in a different direction, but you can already see all the different templates that eMaze gives you. So I'm going to click on the Soho Gallery in order to be able to show you what a museum can look like using eMaze. And again, a lot of this is already there, so all you really have to do is plug in your own things. So you can see how a museum could possibly look. It has a museum feel. You can, for example, make a museum, for example, of where you live, etc. Just go back. Okay. Another example that I know I've used personally for a lot of my twinnings is to create some sort of collaborative album. And you'll see that right now. So for example, let's say at the end of our year, we want to create some sort of yearbook. Second, here it is. So you can see eMaze has a yearbook option. And again, all I have to do is plug in my own information and eMaze plug in my own pictures, but the template is already there. It's already available for me. I don't have to do much work. And like I said, it's collaborative. So that means the students on both sides can see it. And something that we like to do, especially for Rosh Hashanah, is we like to send e-cards. Well, eMaze has a great solution for us. In fact, they even have a Rosh Hashanah e-card. Let me find it. Or at least they did. Probably because it's, here we go. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Just quickly show it to you. So this way we can send e-cards to each other in a very fun, exciting manner. And like I said, it's easy to use. It's available on just about any device. And it's fun. It's fun for the students. It's fun for everyone. Any questions about eMaze before we continue? Thank you, Tirsa. I also like using eMaze. It's very cool, very fun. All of this, the entire slideshow is going to be available on our website after the sessions tonight, after tonight's virtual conference. So you will be able to see this and use it, but if you send me your email, I'll be happy to send it to you also.
I'm sorry, I meant about like the eMaze. Are you usually working with it?
Yes,
The
so
link?
everything in the slideshow that I was just showing you is hyperlinked.
Like when you work with students, do
Mhm.
you send it and they go on their own in this museum or whatever platform?
They could, or what I try to do is I try to make it even easier. I try to set it up for them as much as possible and then give them the link to just add in things.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Either one. Okay, so we're going to talk about the next digital tool that we use in our twinnings, which is S'more. S'more is not like it's taken from the idea of graham cracker, marshmallow, and chocolate, but it actually is something a lot more than that. And that is, it allows you to make interactive and gorgeous newsletters with links, videos, audio, forms, maps, and pictures. And shortly you'll see an example. But one of the main things that is also important is it allows you to embed photos and videos, so you can include a lot of information. It's very private, so only the people who you're sending it to will actually use it. And it's not like, for example, available on the web. And you can also choose your own background to make things match and look pretty. So some of the ideas as to when we use S'more are, for example, if we're creating some sort of introductory newsletter that we want to share about our school, we want to share about who's in our school, a little bit about our school. S'more is a great way to do that. Also, if we want to summarize a topic or a year-long activity, if we want to present things that our students have made. For example, one of my schools that I work with send me a whole bunch of Hanukkah pictures from their school, and together we thought about maybe creating a newsletter on S'more to be able to present all of their different pictures and videos. And you can also store material on here. And now I'm going to show you an example so you can see in real life what it looks like. Okay, so this specific S'more was created by a school in Israel called Or Rogozin and Masada in Australia. And you'll see that they basically included things in both Hebrew and English. It was created by the students themselves. I was not the coordinator for this specific school, but you'll see that there's a video. They put in information, they put in videos, they put in different pictures and links to different things from their school. So the students could actually kind of virtually visit their partner school, which is always very cool. They include interviews with the principals of each school. It was a really cool assignment or activity, not assignment, but activity. Again, to kind of recap their year together. They created a community project, Mishloach Manot, where they sent Mishloach Manot virtually to each other. Yes, you can always ask questions in the chat. I can see all the chat. I see that some people are asking about that. So yes, you can feel free to always put things in the chat as I speak. Here they included a crossword puzzle. As you can see, they include a lot of things. Obviously, your S'mores don't have to be so heavy on information, but there is a lot that S'more allows you to do. And that's why I like this example, because it shows a variety of things that S'more can do. Any questions about S'more or something that I've said until now before I continue? Again, feel free to use the chat only because I can't see everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to continue with the next tool. The next tool is called Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a simple, free, and accessible video discussion experience. It basically allows our students to have one place that everyone can share videos. So for example, a lot of times, especially now in COVID-19, Corona, we want our students to be able to take videos of, let's say, something that they did over Hanukkah or introduce themselves. But because they're all from home, how do I do that? So one simple way is Flipgrid. And the way that it works is you create a discussion topic, you share it with your learning community, learners record and share short videos with each other, and the most important thing, they can react to the videos. So not only can they look at the videos of their partners, of their twins, but they can also comment on each other's videos, which is another collaborative aspect that is very important to our twinning program. Ideas as to how to use Flipgrid. Like I said, introductory videos. I know that a lot of my school twinnings this year made introductory videos, and Flipgrid is a wonderful place that all of them can be in one simple area together instead of having a bunch of videos all over the place. You can also use it to summarize a topic or year-long activity, or to express an idea. Let's say you want your students to tell what they did during Hanukkah, for example. We're coming back from Hanukkah or coming back from winter break. I want to tell my partner what I did. Flipgrid is an excellent way to do that. Is it like someone asked me if it's like a Dropbox? I'm actually not sure. It's a little bit different. I'm going to show you an example, and maybe from the example, you'll be able to see it's a little bit different. Okay, so here I had students talk about how you get ready for Rosh Hashanah in your home. Something that you cook, where you go to pray, something that you do during the holiday, how your table looks, and you can see that they responded. It's very easy to use. Students basically just click on this button and it automatically sends a message to the camera on their screen, and that's how they record their video. So you don't have to use anything except for pressing a button, and automatically it records. And then when there's a recording, it has them upload it onto one area. So again, instead of having them send a bunch of different videos to, let's say, the teacher or to the coordinator, and then the coordinator has to put them all together, here we have a very simple way that all the students in one place from both sides collaboratively can send videos to each other. That's Flipgrid. Any questions? So I don't know if I answered if it's like a Dropbox. It's a little bit different. I don't know if you noticed that, Tirza. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next tool, which is called TriCider. TriCider is a tool that allows you to put in questions and discussion topics, and it opens a page to get ideas. And what it allows is it allows for students to add their own ideas and a picture. And they can also do fun things with it, like they can vote on it, or they can respond to ideas by pressing the like button, which of course they all know from Facebook, from modern day technology. They always know the like aspect, especially Zoom, because they're all, they've all at some point done some sort of remote learning. So they know Zoom as well. And again, it uses terminology and ideas that they're used to. And again, how can I use it in my school twinning? I can express an idea, we can have a collaborative discussion, or I can take a poll about a topic. So for example, in the example that I'm about to show you, you'll see this relates a little bit to Purim right now, but let's say I want to have a Purim costume contest. Who has the coolest costume? Well, TriCider is an excellent way to have a virtual voting. Which costumes do my students like the best? Which one interests them? And you can see that I have also the votes. Kadi, you'll notice that you're actually on here. And there are also pros and cons. You can include, as in, for example, someone wrote, "I'm afraid of clowns." So they didn't want to vote for the clown because they're afraid of clowns. But I think that you can see here that it allows our students to have that ability to collaborate with each other and in a fun way that speaks to them and that they can actually really enjoy. Like I said, Arkadi's mentioned here, so I'm sure he recognizes it. Any questions about TriCider before I continue? All good? Okay. So the last one that we're going to talk about is Google Maps. We're all familiar with Google Maps in terms of looking at it to get from place to place, but Google Maps can also be used in twinning. And that the main reason is because it provides levels of information, symbols, pictures, videos, and trails. And you can also share a map of a specific area by sharing a URL address. And the ways that we can use it in school twinning is, for example, especially with Tu B'Shvat coming up soon, a lot of my school twinnings like to do something connected to roots. Where are my roots? Where is my family origin? And we can use Google Maps in order to be able to show, not just to talk about where my family is located, but to actually really see it. And I'm going to show you the example because I think the example kind of shows it better than I can explain it in words. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you see over here in the picture where my family is from, you'll see that there are little icons. And you can also discuss with students afterwards. And again, both sides collaboratively can use the Google Maps, the same map, both sides, the sides from Israel, the side from outside of Israel, they can all join on the same map and show where their family is from. And then you can have a nice discussion with the students. Look, even though our families are from this pretty much the same area, look, so many of them are from Europe, but yet our family our family ends up in America. Some of us, our family ends up in Israel. And it can create, again, that wonderful discussion that just from using a digital tool, students can see, and students today are very visual. They need that visual aspect. So they can see it in real life on a Google map. So that's, for example, one thing that Google Map allows. Also, if let's say you want to share about your city with your twin. For example, you want to share about different locations in your city. You can have students do that using Google Map. Anyway, since we do need to wrap up, I was going to share with you a couple more tools. However, like I said, you'll be getting this slideshow. It'll be available on our website. So I just want to end, one second, with my information so that you have my information in case you want to contact me for any questions. I'm always available. WhatsApp, email, either one is totally fine. But like I said, all of this is also going to be on the School Twinning Network online on our website, which you'll be getting at the end. And like I said, I used eMaze in order to make this presentation, so therefore you could learn from a digital tool in practical use and see how I used it throughout this session. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming and for joining my session. I hope that you gained from it. And if you have any questions, feel free, email, WhatsApp. I'm available to answer anything and everything.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed. So from what I've been told is that right now you can head back to the main stage, and I'll hang out here if there are any last minute questions if someone wants to ask me anything.
Thank you so much. This was
You're
great
welcome.
information for me. Yeah.
Great. I'm happy.
תודה רבה, thank you.
בשמחה, Arkady.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I wasn't listening. Are we supposed to go back to the stage?
Yes, go back to the stage,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Taking a picture of your slide.
That's fine. זהו, אבל יש עוד שבפנים, אני פשוט רואה שיש עדיין אלו שבפנים.
נכון.
אז ממש לא רואים אותם, הם שומעים אותנו וכותבים.
נכון. אז לאה, אנחנו הולכים
כן.
לבמה המרכזית.
כן, נכון.
אז see
זהו
you there.
לסשן. כן?
ביי.
ביי. like I said, at this point, you can head back to the main stage. It's on the side left. You'll see that there are different choices: reception, stage, sessions, networking, expo. So if you click on the stage, you can head there.